My name is Cassandra Gerardo, and my earliest childhood memory is sitting at the basement of my childhood home with my grandmother, who was correcting me because I wasn't coloring in the lines of my coloring book. So I think that's really affected how I see design versus art. So for me, I'm very regimented and like to keep things within guidelines and make sure everything's aligned and straight. So I think that's maybe I'm a little less spontaneous. I would say my idea of design before coming to SVA was more siloed between different divisions of design. So looking at it from a graphic design point of view, looking at it from an architectural point of view, where now it's a lot more fluid to me. My most significant trip was when I went to Paris last June, because I had been wanting to go to Paris my entire life. I made my parents sign me up for French classes when I was 9 years old. I took French all through high school and into college, and I had never had an opportunity to go. Last year I finally got to go and immerse myself in the culture and eat the best food and drink amazing wine and just see all the sights I've been wanting to see my entire life. My most enjoyable moment at school, I think, is just hanging out in the studio before class, after class, talking to everyone in the program. The course at SVA has opened me up to a lot of different avenues of design and writing that I would have never considered. I'm actually looking at trying to get a book published or possibly going to get my PhD. So I would have never done that prior to this.
Some extra credits at the end of that one. So, I want you all to take a moment and remember what it was like to go out and buy film and load it into your camera. And you could only shoot 24 or 36 photos before you reached the end of the roll. And afterward, you physically had to take it somewhere to get developed, and you had to wait. It's like, God, we were so patient. Our smartphones have become the 21st century mass accessible version of cameras, with Instagram providing the unlimited free film, lenses, darkroom, and photo album. But what is Instagram, and why is it so important? Instagram is a free app that encourages us to share our lives through our photos and videos. It allows us to express ourselves creatively and brings us users together as a photo sharing community. So why on an app where we're supposed to share images that express ourselves, are we finding that we're not so unique after all? What causes our image to end up looking the same as everyone else's? And how does a photo of a latte convey the essence of our identity? These were the questions I asked myself coming into this project, but what I began to uncover only scrapes the surface of the depths of Instagram. Instagram launched in October of 2010 and gained 25,000 users within the first 24 hours of its launch. Today, the platform has over 800 million users. Proponents of social media would say it's democratic in the sense that it's free and anyone can join and have a voice. And in terms of Instagram, it's a fun and creative way to express yourself. You connect with your family and your friends, and you follow celebrities through an online community while having instant access to everyone's updates. But I want us to think about Instagram another way. As Instagram users, we constantly consume others' visual multimedia. We go to great lengths to produce compelling content for the app, including shooting hundreds of photos for the perfect selfie and using multiple apps to edit those selfies. As users, we see these facets of design as part of play. But in reality, Instagram is a lot of work. Beyond the confines of digital space, foot traffic is often disrupted by an imperative Instagram moment. Developers have created hundreds of apps available to work in conjunction with Instagram to help us design ourselves. Social media is thought of as democratic, widely accessible, and a means to social affirmation. But what if Instagram is instead understood as a performative labor, which begins and ends within the app? Tonight, I want to convey how Instagram's front and back end design shapes our online identities. But first, let's discuss the way we design identity. So the idea of defining ourselves by cliches isn't really that new. Two sociologists, Theodor Adorno and Max Horkheimer, called it pseudo-individuality. It's a way of defining ourselves from one another through personality tropes. The traits that we use to define ourselves, like our glasses, our accent, our haircut, are all markers that make us seem unique, while still conforming us to a commercial marketing of culture. As Instagram continues to grow, its users constantly search for a steady stream of new settings and stimuli to maintain or further their online relevancy, and do so by seeking out experiences, spaces, and props. I propose that Instagram has created a new type of identity that thrives on the production and consumption of Instagram's visual media, masquerading these visual tropes as aspects of a user's authentic lived experience. The amalgamation of these tropes within a user's Instagram feed, combined with Instagram's functions to filter and switch between visual mediums, makes Instagram's identities too difficult to distill into a fixed marketing category. This identity straddles the boundaries of stereotype and archetype into a hybrid identity personified through these visual tropes that are easy for users to produce and repeat. Marketers, however, cannot rely on formulaic or simplified stereotypes or classify users under a quintessential personality or archetype, since these tropes expand across gender, race, class, and interests. I call this identity the Instapersona. Instagram provides a platform for a stage identity that a user may not have the ability to replicate in real life, and therefore only lives within the app. Through filtering and curation, these visual tropes portray a user's ideal self. Instagram claims it's a platform for creative self-expression and pushes its users to embrace narrative through photography and invest themselves emotionally. Storytelling suggests that users' photos elicit more from their identity, and through narrative, communicate a deeper understanding. On Instagram, posts become part of the commodified process of the app, stylized with the same editing tools and lost within the schizophrenic nature of Instagram's endless array of posts. Filters enhance colors, hide imperfections, or convey a mood to an otherwise banal photograph. The app's signature square photo cropping requires that the eye move circularly around the photograph, making it perfect for consumption by facilitating and drawing one's attention to a specific product or person. Users pull from a predetermined set of icons and symbols to express themselves, creating a type of digital scrapbook or a one-click creative solution. Instagram also promotes transparency and accessibility as a way of furthering its values as a democratic community. Instagram's back-end design, however, engages a complex system of algorithms that affect individuals' visibility and popularity. In March of 2016, Instagram adjusted its algorithm feed to go from displaying users' photos in chronological order to an order positioned as supposedly beneficial to the user. Because users stayed on the app longer, Instagram had more opportunities to sell ad space that the user sees. Around the same time, Instagram launched its business advertising interface. Through this interface, the algorithm also allows brands to access detailed analytics on users' Instagram, Facebook, and third-party consumer data, making it easier for companies to group users into hyper-specific, targeted consumer markets. But how does Instagram's design inform the practices of the Instapersona? Back in March, I met with a group of women who described themselves as travel influencers. They promote the influencer lifestyle of fashion, travel, and adventure, while living a life most people would be uncomfortable adopting. Online, these influencers design Instapersonas that read as urbane, well-traveled, and affluent. But during our meeting, several members revealed that they were homeless, living out of their suitcase, and sleeping on others' sofas. Instead of paying rent, they used their money to fund their travel. Others suggested shooting thousands of photos so that they would have plenty of extra footage to pad out their profiles when they couldn't afford to travel. These women had successfully earned money as influencers by designing an Instapersona that they could commercialize on Instagram. But despite their success, they still produce content that ultimately benefits the app. The Instapersona is also bringing Instagram further into the physical world. Spaces like the Museum of Ice Cream arise solely for Instagram, and they remove the work needed to produce compelling photography for the Instapersona. These spaces prescribe locations to stand while employees guide visitors into pre-planned poses. They convey a whimsical false narrative for others to repeat. Unlike Disney World, where taking a photo with Cinderella is part of the experience, at the Museum of Ice Cream, taking a photo is the experience. There is a paradox between the user and his or her Instapersona, and that the user becomes isolated and overworked through designing the very image of an idealized self intended to bring social affirmation and self-actualization. In their photos, these users possess ownership of their surroundings, but seem to disregard the others physically sharing the space around them. When online communication overrides face-to-face interaction, the Instapersona surpasses the importance of the real-life identity. Through this inscription, photography grants life to the images themselves, removing the human element. For all the work we create, do we value our commodities more than ourselves? Thank you.